Hey, photographs are created and used for many different purposes. Some photographs try to sell us some stuff. Some want to promote a certain lifestyle or build a cult of personality. But not all those backstories and motivations are evil. I mean, some photographs want to fight world hunger or poverty. But in all these cases, a photograph is in a service of something else. It's a means to an end. It's an afterthought. And me as a photographer, I'm interested in photographs in a different way, as an artifact, as a piece of art, as something that stands or falls by aesthetics. Is it a good photograph, regardless of the backstory or motivation? There are even cases when mediocre or bad work is justified by a good cause. But to me, a bad photograph of Mother Teresa is still a bad photograph. And also in the other end, a good photograph of a coffee cup can be a good photograph. You know, I recently went to this photo exhibition and it was advertised as fighting global warming, information, knowledge about global warming. But it was a photo exhibition, black and white, color photographs, some video installations, some other art. And I mean, it's a bit harsh to say, and this is only my opinion, but it was pretty mediocre, lazy actually. It was obvious, it was self-evident, it was not fresh. And to me, it made me feel like the whole exhibition was put together for a good cause based on mediocre art. And that doesn't cut it for me. I've become extremely suspicious nowadays if any exhibition or a book or any other work is promoted by a cause not based on its artistic merits. Especially in photography that I take so seriously. Now, photography is an interesting art form because it is always rooted in reality. Unlike a symphony or a novel that you can pull out from thin air, in photography you need to photograph something concrete that reflects light. Otherwise you can't create a photograph. So there's always this link to the concrete world. And thus you could easily create this link to sell something, promote something. But I think when that becomes the first priority, it's no longer interesting. Now, let me show you something I did the other week. I show you a few photographs that have a very strong and meaningful backstory, and I could use them to promote a case. But I use this as an example because now I want you to judge them based on what they are as a photograph. But let me still tell you the backstory. 1939, Russia invaded Finland. We were ill-prepared, not ready for the fight. No ammunition, no guns. So we needed to invent something quickly, something creative. One thing we did was in the small town of Rajamäki in the southern Finland, we converted an alcohol factory to produce Molotov cocktails on an industrial scale. Molotov cocktail is basically a bottle of flammable liquid that you can throw on a tank or some other military equipment and burn it to the ground. Cheap to make, easy to use in the Finnish forest. Even the term Molotov cocktail is a Finnish invention. So now that that factory was converted, it of course became a target for Russian bombing. So they built air defense towers next to the factory and put some anti-aircraft guns on top of those towers. Now the guns are long gone, but the towers are still there. And now, as a part of this backstory, we are once again living in the middle of Russian aggression next to our borders. So we need to get prepared. That's a strong story for me as a Finn. Now, so how do I use this story? Not just to make mediocre pictures, but to use it to amplify what I'm about to photograph, those towers. So I took a Ukrainian-made camera, Kiev 60, as my tool. Because they are living the same we lived 80 years ago. Slava Ukraini. And then I took a Zodiak 8 fisheye lens that I took most of the pictures to create an impression of pressure, to create an impression of those towers falling over me. A little human being in the midst of cruelty, if you will. And I tried to create good photograph based on this backstory. But once again, here, my photographs, even if this backstory is really important for me, they either stand or fall based on their aesthetics. And these were the kind of pictures I took. Now the point of this video is that I can take an important motivation and an important backstory and use them as a material for my photographs. Use them as inspiration, as subjects, as something that guides my photography. But not to use them as an excuse for lazy work or mediocre work, but use them to amplify my photography so that my photos are why I do this, not this backstory. That's how I want to look at photographs. That's how I want to work myself. Therefore, I can never justify anything I do based on a good cause. Could I also photograph something that is evil and bad and say the same thing, that I took the photograph of this evil thing and promote evil things because I think the photograph is good? Maybe not. Maybe that would be taking it too far. Interesting. I didn't think about that before I started to talk. What do you think? Can a backstory, a motivation, a good cause justify a photograph? Or can an excellent photograph justify an evil and bad backstory? Here is something to think about, and while you do it, Thanks for watching. Next time something else.